Chelsea Football Club are going to sign a striker this summer. I'm going to rank all 6 of our striker transfer targets that we have in order of how much I want to sign them. Now, the players we have available for us are Delap, Gyokeres, we have Sesko, David, we have Ekitike, and then we have Victor Osimhen. Now, the categories I've gone for are sign them now, then we have decent, then we have maybe, and then we have nah, you're all right. And the first player we're going to go for is Liam Delap. Liam Delap is someone I'm very interested in personally. Let's go to the positives first of all. He is very cheap for £30 million as a buyout clause because Ipswich got relegated. That's an incredible price for a player of his quality. Now, he has incredible potential and he is very young. That youthful side to him is something that I think is brilliant for his playing style, but also is just so nice to have a player that we can have for a long term in the future. And our ownership and our sporting directors love that kind of player, love that kind of model. The thing that I really like about him is how different his playing style is to Nicholas Jackson. I think he's such a different player. He's a bit of a Diego Costa type. He's very rough around the edges. He will track down, he'll hunt down the ball, and he has very good finishing ability. The thing I like about him, if we did sign him, is we could use him and Delap Jackson and Delap in very different ways. If we play 60 minutes with Jackson up top, then imagine bringing Delap on and vice versa. They tire out the defences in such different ways, and it would be great to have a finisher kind of at the club. And he can score in the Prem, and he is such a good finisher. Scoring 12 goals for Ipswich, who got relegated about 5 games before the end of the season, is genuinely so impressive to me. I think scoring 12 goals for a team like Ipswich, who barely get any chances, don't attack, don't have majority possession throughout the game, is similar to someone scoring 20 to 25 goals for a Liverpool or Man City, a team like that. Now, we do have to look at the negatives. He hasn't played for an elite club, understandable, but Ipswich are in the Premier League, which is kind of an elite league in my eyes, but he hasn't played for that very top team. And when he did play for that top team, Manchester City, we have to ask ourselves, why did Man City let him go? I mean, they're pretty sensible, and they have some great players like Palmer, Lavia, all these guys. We seem to get the Man City kind of youth rejects, but they're all still very decent players. But why did Man City let him go? We do have to ask ourselves that. And one of the negatives, I guess, is that he isn't that number one striker coming in, getting the number 9 on the Chelsea shirt and banging goals. He is going to come in to compete with Jackson, but overall, for me, I just think there is so much positives with signing someone like Delap. So I think for me personally, I have to put him in the side now. I can't see a negative of getting Liam Delap. And I think people that say things like, oh, he's not the kind of the Chelsea level, I think you just need to get your head screwed on because it's not the case of that anymore. It's different. So yeah, starting very strong in this video, Liam Delap is in the sign him now category, and I think it's a very realistic signing that we might get. But next up, we're going to move on to Victor Gyokeres. Now, when we go to Victor Gyokeres, we have to talk about the positives, and the positives are so immediately straight away. This guy is a goal scorer. His ridiculous goal record in the Portuguese league, he scored 67 goals in 63 games. That is genuinely incredible. You're getting more than a goal a game, which is just all you can ask for a striker. His age, 26. I really like that age as 26 because it's a player that is moving into his peak, which is really good for us. We want those players who have a bit of experience and have that age and have a bit more wisdom moving into that. And a lot of clubs are very keen on Victor Gyokeres, and that is such a green flag when you're looking for a striker. If loads of clubs want him, there's a reason that they want him. But if we're moving into the negatives of him, he's unproven in the top league. He was all right in the Championship before moving to the Portuguese league. He didn't really perform that well. Like a player that I want to sign in the Premier League should be doing really good in the Championship, even if it was a couple of years ago. And I'm not entirely sure if Victor Gyokeres is a mind-blowing amount better than Nicholas Jackson. You do wonder if you put Nicholas Jackson in the Portuguese league. I'm not saying he would score 67 goals in 63 games. I actually don't think he would. But would the difference in quality of striker be that different between them? I don't think so. If we already have a Jackson, then I'm not necessarily too sure. So if we're moving to the tier list, I think he is a very decent player. I don't think we should sign him now. It might be harsh, but I have to put him into the maybe category just because of the lack of difference he has to Jackson, the non-main league experience, that elite league experience that he doesn't have. And yeah, that's that. But let's move on to Sesko and see what I have to say about him. Now, for me, Sesko is a very interesting one for a lot of reasons. If we move into the positives, he's 21 years old, very young, and has so much potential. The ownership, the sporting directors all like a young player, and he's someone that if we do sign him and he looks great, he could be a striker for us for a long time in the future. He has performed pretty well in the Bundesliga, which is a top 5 league, and the Champions League 2 seasons in a row for his age. Doing that at 21 years old, 20 and 21, that is really impressive and something that I absolutely love. And the thing that is the biggest positive for me around Sesko is he is such a different profile to Nicholas Jackson. He is taller, a target man with pace. He's a very different option. I think if I was to compare him to someone, he is a B-Tech Erling Haaland. He has that kind of physicality that someone like Nicholas Jackson absolutely does. Nicholas Jackson's skill sets are in a completely different realm to someone like Sesko, and I love how different he is. And having, like Liam Delap, having someone like Sesko that is so different to Nicholas Jackson, I really enjoy that. And I think that's the part to me that really sells it for me. The cons are that he's very young and he's raw. That is something that you can't bank on someone being that good. Yes, they can have a couple of good seasons when they're young, but will they deliver that when they're older? Who knows? The Bundesliga is such a scary place to buy from. We have such PTSD as Chelsea fans in Kunku, Werner. Can he perform in the Bundesliga and then come straight into the Premier League? It's a really tough one sometimes. And also, he seems very highly linked, Sesko, with Arsenal and some other big clubs. So, will he want, if we don't get Champions League, will he want to move towards that Champions League club? It could be quite difficult. But for me, I think Sesko has to move into that decent category. I think he offers more and more things different to Nicholas Jackson. So that's why he goes above Gyokeres. But for me, that Bundesliga element scares me in comparison to someone like Delap, where I think that Delap Premier League provenness really just speaks out to me. And someone like Sesko, I think, has to go into a decent category. If we signed him tomorrow and didn't sign Delap, I wouldn't be unhappy about it. That's why he has to go into decent. Now, the next one is an interesting one in Jonathan David from Lille. Just before we get onto the rest of the video, if you enjoy the content, I mean the world, if you could hit a like and hit that subscribe button if you want to be part of this Chelsea community. When we talk about Jonathan David from Lille, there are some actually really good positives. The first of all is that he's a consistent goal scorer in the league. He scores 15 to 24 goals per season for the last 3 seasons in a row in Ligue 1, and that is very impressive. To have that consistency in a fairly top league is very decent for me. He is 25 years old. That isn't young for me, but again, that's that kind of age where you look into someone, you're 25, are you going to grab football by the balls and go, right, I'm going to enter my prime? That could definitely be the case. If he scored 3 seasons consistently like that, can he move on to when he turns 27, 28 and be getting those 30 goal seasons in the Premier League? That is something there. And a really big bonus about Jonathan David is the fact that he's a free agent. That will be no cost to us. There will be a massive signing bonus fee, and maybe his bonuses and his wages will be a lot higher. So that could be something a bit tricky. The cons are is that Jackson is basically kind of doing the same numbers in the Premier League for us. I mean, yes, there are a couple more goals each season from Jonathan David, but the League One to the Premier League is very different case. I think it's so much. I think scoring something like 15 goals in the Premier League for a top team is like scoring 23 goals in Ligue 1 for a top team. I don't think there is too much difference in there for me. I again just can't take Ligue 1 as seriously as somewhere like the Premier League, so I always get scared. And stylistically speaking, he isn't too different from Nicholas Jackson in my eyes. Yes, they have different qualities, but they're not that different in the way they play. I think in Maresca's system, they'd be very similar in terms of drawing centre-backs in, they're making the runs behind, trying to poach. So, for me, David looks like a great striker and I really value him. But there is, out of all the people here, he's the one that I'm just immediately going, nah, I think you're right. Like, if we signed him, it's not an intention of excellence for me, and I would be disappointed. Now, moving on to one of the most interesting players in this, it's Ekitike. When we talk about Ekitike, I'm going to be honest, he's someone that has recently come into my knowledge. I didn't know about him that much before, but he seems like a very interesting player. The positives for him is he's very young and he's a bright talent. A really young player, and he looks really raw, and he's just there. He's kind of burst onto the scene a little bit, and he looks very interesting. And he's a very different profile to Jackson. He's very tall, and he kind of plays the game a little bit differently. I don't think he's more like Sesko and in that kind of like B-Tech Haaland kind of realm, but he is a different profile, absolutely. And he has a solid performance in the Bundesliga, 15 goals this season. Now, we've talked previously with all the other strikers that we mentioned in this video already about how the Bundesliga is something that you have to consider. The Bundesliga tax, it's interesting. So moving into the negatives of it, the Bundesliga absolutely terrifies me, as I've said. Signing those players like Nkunku and Timo Werner, I don't know. If you score 15 goals in your first season in the Bundesliga, is that good enough to come to the Premier League and score 20 goals? I'm absolutely not sure. And his main negative to me, he isn't proven as a player. He has just had that kind of one good season, and he's very risky, and he seems very raw. And I feel like it's just far too early in his career. Maybe in a season or two, he could be the great signing for Chelsea. Maybe it's a case of right player, but wrong time. I have to join him and Jonathan David in the nah category. Ekitike and David are good players, but if we sign them, personally, I wouldn't be too happy. And last but finally not least, we have to move on to Victor Osimhen. Now, Victor Osimhen, I have some seriously hot takes about. Now, if we talk about the pros, he is an elite striker. There is no hiding from the fact that he has performed in some seasons in his career, and he is an elite striker with elite footballing abilities. He's proved it in a competitive league. He was the star alongside Kvara for Napoli's Serie A win, and he was absolutely fantastic in there, scored a hell of a lot of goals. He is fundamentally, as a player, if you just put them two together, he is an improvement on Jackson. I can't deny that. I love Nicholas Jackson. And Osimhen is a better player right now. In terms of impact, if we want that, he would come in and he would be a better striker than Nicholas Jackson. That is a fact. And he's 26 years old, so he'd be moving into his prime age. Those are all just fantastic positives for me. Then you have the negatives of Osimhen, and there are just quite a lot of them. First of all, you're looking at, in my eyes, if you buy Osimhen, you have to sell Jackson. Jackson is not a pure number two. Osimhen would start and Jackson would be a number two. I don't want to sell Jackson. That is not what I want to do. So if we bring Osimhen, we have to sell Jackson in my eyes. I don't think he can be a number two, and I don't think he'll want to be a number two, and I don't think the club will want him to be a number two, so we have to sell him. His wage demands are absolutely bonkers. That guy will not be coming to Chelsea for anything less than probably 250k. That's just what he said. He's so often said that. And they're just absolutely mental. His temperament issues are another negative for me. I think that he left Napoli in a poor way. I heard about that, and I have done some research on it, and there were some like dodgy bits with the fans hating on him and the club hating on him and those kind of things. But still, I just don't want any issues at Chelsea. I don't want any player management, player ownership issues. I just want calm players that come to the club and just play football. And I think my main point, one of my biggest things, and this is a thing that isn't stats, it isn't eye test, it's just personal feeling. I can't help but feel when we would sign a striker as big as him, signing Victor Osimhen would be a big signing. I can't help but feel that this guy would be a flop. There just seems to be too much on the line. We'd have to break the wage structure. We'd have a big signing fee. There'd be so much pressure on him. And if he doesn't deliver, the way things are at Chelsea at the moment, the flop and the pressure on him, I just think would be too much. And I just don't think he'd be able to deliver on such a big scale. So if we move into the kind of ranking system for me, I'm not going to put him in sign now for all the negative reasons that I've said. And I'm not going to put him in now because I wouldn't be fundamentally disappointed if we signed him. For me, I can't put him in decent. He is a fantastically decent player. The thing I have to do is I have to put him in maybe. Because the thing that I'm looking at wages, I'm looking at the fees, and I'm looking at what we do with Nicholas Jackson. If we can sort out low wages, low fees, and he shows a real desire to come to Chelsea Football Club, absolutely, I'll be happy there. But those things, absolutely, there's a huge chance of them not coming true, and that worries me.